I think in both ways you feel bad, you feel guilty. I think the best is to be able to be happy without cheating physically or psychologically, but if you can help, I mean, if you have to, I mean, if you're in a situation in which you don't have the choice, I mean, I think it can be worse to feel something for someone if you're in a couple. I mean, if you're in a relationship, because I'm not saying, I'm not meaning that, you know, cheating on someone and having a relation, a physical relation with someone else is nothing. But it doesn't. How am I gonna go out from this? I don't know. If you want my opinion, because the truth is you want to know what I think about it. I'm the worst liar. So in both ways, I know that, you know, it will be an end of my love story. So no matter what, I'm very, very, very faithful, and if I see that, if I feel that I'm gonna have to make a choice, I make the choice, and I'll have a good time after that choice. I don't know if you understand a word of what I said. Yes. Thank you very much.
Sometimes I think I went into it thinking that the mental infidelity was worse, and then we're shooting it and I'm thinking, no, the physical's much worse. I come out and I have no idea. I really don't know. But I think that's what's wonderful about the film, you know, it provokes discussion and it makes you realise that actually, I think it's different for everybody and it's different in every situation. So I don't know is the answer.
I would love to speak that fast.
I think some of what Guillaume said and some of what Keira says. No, I think it's really circumstantial. I think it's too black and white to say, no, this is worse than that. I think every relationship we have with someone else is different than the previous relationship or than a relationship in the future. And maybe something that's acceptable in your teens or in your 20s isn't acceptable in your 30s or 40s. Or maybe by the time you're in the 60s and 70s, you're hoping that he goes to sleep with someone else. You know, I mean, I'm not sure. I think it's circumstantial. Yeah.
But there is something very important too. I think that it depends really on who it concerns. Because if it's for you, it can be one choice. If it's for your partner, it will be maybe another choice. You know, maybe it will be easier for you to say. I mean, you understood what I mean.
Keira and I first met on The Jacket, which is a very different film. It's a man in a drawer who's traveling through time. Very different from our last night. But Keira and I met then, and obviously one of the luckiest parts of the film, especially because it was my first film, is working with someone who was my dear friend before filming. It adds a level of comfort and security and confidence when you're kind of undertaking this. And the way it happened with Keira actually is when I wrote it, she was only 20, so I thought she was too young. So it took a second to have her turn a little bit older and to return. And she actually didn't want to do a film for 2 years when I first phoned her about. Actually, I told her about the project because we're friends, but when I brought it to her, she really wasn't planning on working. So I had to persuade her otherwise. And I did. And then the casting began with Keira because the casting in this film is so essential in the sense that you need the married couple to be very intimate with one another and you need to believe that they have this shared history. But in the casting of the respective temptations for each of them, I wanted both of those people to represent a different path that the couple's life could take, or each, you know, a different path for the husband, a different path for the wife. So Eva and Keira are two completely different kinds of women, different femininity, they just brought different things to it. So it was great to be able to, you know, first cast Keira, and I had met Sam again, before Avatar was complete, and he had empathized with all 4 of the roles. I think he could have played Joanna and Laura too, because he really empathized with them. So then I started Keira, Sam, and Ava I had met, and it was love at first sight as well with her. We had, I think, like a 3-hour coffee that didn't end, and she also, it was great being able to put, again, a good friend in the film because you just feel much more confident and comfortable. And Guillaume, I had met actually when he was in LA, screening his film Tell No One. And he had screened it in a small screening, and I met him, and I don't know, he stayed in my head. And so when we were casting, it was about a year later, I remembered that friendship.
Your husband in the room.
He stayed in my head, yes. I dreamed about him for a year, and then I cast him as the other man. But yeah, it all kind of came together piece by piece. Prego.
Buongiorno, sono Marco Spagnolo, per permessi, ma volevo chiedere...
So I was so happy that I met someone just as loud as myself. And then honestly, Keira Knightley, I've been wanting to work with her for a long time, and although we don't have, you know, we just have one scene together, I think Keira is the best actress of her generation and makes amazing choices, and yeah. You know that.
Thank you.
C'è forse tempo per un'ultima domanda? Lì, prego.
Sì, salve.
C'era ancora un...
Very quickly, in response to your question about Brief Encounter, it was definitely an inspiration for the film. I think you asked if Brief Encounter is comparable in the filming experience. I think when you come together with artists to do something in an intensely short period of time, in 27 days, you can liken it to an affair of sorts among artists, but not to do with love, but it's an intensely intimate experience working together for 27 days. You get to know, I think that's why so many films probably yield friendships, because you're in it together and you kind of work under these strenuous circumstances, and it requires an enormous level of trust to be able to achieve the performances in that short amount of time, so it kind of tosses you in a boat together. I'm not sure if you were asking if Brief Encounter was an inspiration or if it was a brief encounter. To both? Yes?
Sbaglio, lei comunque è innamorata di questo altro uomo, cioè si coglie questo innamoramento anche reciproco, poi alla fine lei sceglie di essere fedele.
He stays with Michael, and actually the relationship gets better and it's absolutely fine, and then as we're going through, it's like, nope, she's going to go to Paris, she's going to stay with Alex, there's no... Who knows? I mean, that's the beauty of the ending, and that's one of the things that I loved the most about the script was the fact that there are no conclusions.
I think she's in love with him.
Questa era l'ultima domanda, grazie a tutti i nostri